Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 341. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is titled Product Perception, Pricing, and Profit. How to make more money in your business using 4 simple steps. Product perception, pricing, and profit. How to make more money in your business using 4 simple steps. Now, as entrepreneurs, we know our objective is to make as much money as we can at the highest profit margins possible. And on today's show, we're going to discuss the 4 P's to help you make more money by taking a deeper look at these 4 key components to give your business an influx of profits just by changing a few little things. But before we get to today's show, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and my resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful eCommerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black economy, BeSmartByBlack.com and Hire Black Freelancers. Also, I do want to mention at the top my new rebranded, rebooted Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy, which is an online learning academy that has all types of trainings and online courses to help elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Now, let's get ready with today's show. So today we're going to talk about product perception, pricing, and profit, how to make more money in your business using 4 simple steps, or really adjusting 4 simple components. And as I mentioned at the top, as entrepreneurs, our objective is to make as much profit as possible. Now, let me first start off by giving you the definition of profit. Now, I know you all know it, but I like to lay the groundwork. So profit is a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating, or producing something. So a profit is defined as a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating, or producing something. So today we're going to do an assessment of your products or your services in your business. And we're also going to take a look at the 4 P's to see if we can help you increase profitability. Okay, so the first P we want to talk about is product. And before we get to that, you need to understand that if you master and control the 4 P's, you will be more profitable. So you need to master and control the 4 P's, and you'll be more profitable. So today I'm going to give you 4 different P's to work on, but I'm going to ask several questions. And these are the type of questions that you really need to sit down and analyze and answer to help improve your profitability. Okay, so it's funny. A lot of times I hear business people say, oh, yeah, we sold $1 million in product, or I sold $1 million worth of this. The question always comes to mind for me is, what did it cost you to sell that? So if you sold $1 million and it cost you $999,099, that means you made a penny, right? So it's all about profitability. What do you put in Hip Pocket National? It's not what you make, it's what you keep. Okay. And this is a conversation a lot of times I have with business owners and people that are still working in corporate America. So if you make $100,000 salary in corporate America, by the time you get taxed up, you're probably taking home $67,000 to $70,000. versus an entrepreneur that puts $70,000 in their hip pocket, it's really the same amount of money that you have that's available to you to spend. Okay, so what we want to focus on is being able to master and control the 4 P's. And it's all about profitability. How much profit are you putting in your pocket after you sell your product or service? So we're going to start off number 1 with the product. Okay, and this is where it all starts, with your product or service. Some businesses sell both products and services, but we're just going to look at products and services right now. And depending upon what type of business you have, then obviously, you just think about what's applicable to you. So number 1 with products, are you selling the right product or service? Are you selling the right product or service? And the reason I ask that is sometimes we want to sell something that our customers may not want. So you have to be very specific about what you're selling. Okay. Are you getting or creating your product or service at the right price? Remember, I just talked about profitability. So if you're buying or building a product and the product costs you $2 to build and you're only selling it for $2.25, that doesn't leave you a lot of room for profitability. And we're going to get more in depth with that a little bit later. Next, are you solving a problem? So that's the easiest way to make money with your product or service. Are you solving a problem? And I talked about this on last week's show. Problem, solution, result. It's pretty simple. Problem, solution, result. What's the problem? The solution is your product or service. And what's the result? What happens when they use your product or service? Okay. Now, next, this is something that a lot of people don't really think about. And I'm going to give you a real life example here. Do your customers want or need your product or service? Do your customers want or need your product or service? And here's a real life example. One of my best friends went back into corporate, then he jumped back out into the alarm business. And that was a business I was in 20 years ago, right? So a lot has changed. So he gets a dealership with one of the top alarm dealers out there. And because of COVID, obviously, you're not able to go and do in-home sales like you were before. But the question I asked him, I said, do your customers want or need your product or service that you're selling? And obviously, an alarm system solves a problem, and it helps deter burglars from coming in your house. And FYI, guys, having been in this business a long time ago, the number 1 deterrent for your alarm system is actually your yard sign. It's not the actual system, it's the yard sign. So if somebody's going down your block and there's 2 houses, one has an ADT sign in it or whatever, and the other one doesn't have anything in the yard, the chances are that burglar is going to go into the house that's not protected by a security system. But the only way that they know that is by the yard sign. So that's FYI. All right. So once again, do your customers want or need your product or service? So what my buddy found out was that with his product, now people are doing it yourself. They're going to Lowe's and Home Depot and they're buying the Ring doorbell, which allows them to remotely monitor who comes to their door. Now, it doesn't have an alarm function, but you can hook that up to the Ring service. So what basically happened to him was he's into a market right now where he thought people wanted his product or service. And when he actually got in there and started doing some research, digging around, he found that, you know what? People don't really want this. My monitoring fees are high. And people are going and installing and buying their own Ring device. The Ring device, I think, costs $299 or $399, and there's no monthly recurring monitoring service. And so what he found out the hard way was that, you know what? I'm trying to sell something that my customers don't even want. So industries change. And what we're talking about today, guys, is product perception, pricing, and profit. How to make more money in your business using 4 simple steps. So you're really analyzing each of those 4 P's. Okay, and we're talking about product. All right, so now the next question you need to ask yourself, is your product or service transformational? Is your product or service transformational? Meaning people buy transformation. They want transformation as an outcome. So for example, if you buy an online course, you're looking to transform something. If you're on a diet, you're looking to transform your body. Okay, so most people buy transformation. So you need to understand that. All right, and we're talking about your product. All right. Now, can you improve your product or service to make it more valuable for your customers? Can you improve your product or service to make it more valuable for your customers? Can you add additional components that create a higher perceived value? Okay, such as adding an online tutorial to a book that you're selling. So say you're selling a book and it's a standard book, but now you have an online tutorial that you're going to throw in, which doesn't cost much to make because it's digital. And it could be a 20, 30-minute tutorial about what your book is talking about. Okay, can you improve your product or service to make it more valuable for your customers? So let's rehash real quick. We're talking about being able to make more money and become more profitable in your business by focusing on product, perception, pricing, and profit. And we just went over product. Okay, so those are some of the questions you need to ask yourself about your product or service. Okay, now what you want to do with that, you want to start analyzing your product or service. So are you selling the right product? You know, are you getting or creating the right product or right service at the right price? Okay, are you solving a problem? Do your customers want what you actually are selling? And can you improve your product and or service in some way to add additional value? Now, let's move on to the perception. Okay, the definition of perception is interpret or look on in a particular way. Interpret or look on in a particular way. How is your product or service perceived? How is your brand perceived? Okay, I use this example a lot, but when you go and you go to a Mercedes-Benz dealer, okay, the Mercedes-Benz is perceived differently than going to buy a Yugo, right? I don't even know if they still make those, but it's about perception. So what we want to talk about now, the second P is perception. What perception do people have when they see or experience your product or service or your brand? What's the initial perception people have when they see or experience your product or service or brand? Once again, you go into a Mercedes dealership, it's a lot different than going into a Hyundai dealership. The service is even different levels of service. Okay. Next thing you want to ask yourself, is that perception aligned with your product or service or brand? And if not, why? Is that perception that people have of your business or product or service aligned with your product, service, or brand? And if it's not, why? So if using this Mercedes-Benz dealership as an example, if I go into a Mercedes-Benz dealership and it's dirty, the lights are out, half out, you got coffee stains all over the countertop, you got salespeople in there with the shirt sticking out of their pants and all types of, of things of that nature, that perception does not align with the product. Okay. And that's what you have to focus on. Is the perception aligned with your product, service, brand? And if not, why? Next, what can you do to improve your perceived value of your product, service, or brand? What can you do to improve the perceived value of your product, service, or brand? Sometimes there's just simple things that you can do that can improve that perceived value. Once again, if in this example with the Mercedes-Benz, if the Mercedes-Benz floor, the dealership was clean, it looked bright, had expensive stuff in there, that's perception. Okay, perception is people's reality. Whatever they perceive is their reality. So you need to be very cognizant of the perception that your business, your product or service or your brand puts off. Okay, what will it take to improve your perception? Just think about it. Do an assessment. What will it take to improve your perception? And what's the next step or the first step to have that improve? Can you get a better logo? I was talking to one of the BEB family members doing a coaching call yesterday, and he was talking about rebranding his clothing line. And he was changing it from one thing, the initial brand, to something else that basically gave you a perceived higher value on the product. Okay. And just because of a name change and a logo change. All right. So what's the first step you need to take to improve the perception of your product, service, or brand? Now, will improving the perception of your product, service, or brand increase your pricing? It should. Normally it does. Okay. So this is perception. Now you want to analyze the way people perceive your product, service, or brand. And that's big. Like I said, perception is reality. So whatever somebody perceives of your business, product, service, or brand, that's what they're going to have in their head. So if you tell somebody that you're selling luxury items and your items are look cheap and cheesy, that's not alignment, okay? So today, family, we're talking about product perception, pricing, and profit, how to make more money in your business, just doing a couple of tweaks and using 4 simple components. Next, let's get to the pricing. Now the pricing obviously is the price that you sell your products or service for. All right. And this is a spot, family, that I want you to be look very closely at. I had to do this myself, and I still have to adjust my pricing. Okay, because my pricing on some of my stuff is too low, and I know it. But I'm trying to get more people into the programs. But actually, what I think I'm doing in the long run, I'm really hurting them, because it's going to weed out the people that are serious about taking some of these programs. But I'll talk about that later on. So number 1, are you a low, mid, or high-end product, service, or brand? Are you a low, mid, or high-end product, service, or brand? Where do you fall in the scope of your product or service or brand? Are you a low-end brand like, I forgot the name of Walmart's, what is it? Value something, I don't know, whatever their house brand is. Are you a low-end brand like Walmart and you focus basically on price, or you a high-end brand like, Cartier or some type of other luxury brand? All right. Next, are your prices in line with your customers' perception of your product, service, or brand? So if I walked into a Mercedes-Benz dealership and I'm looking at an S6 and they say, oh yeah, this is only $35,000, I'll be like, huh? Yeah, give me 2 of them. Because I know the value of that is much more than what they're pricing it at. So are your prices in line with your customers' perception of your product, service, or brand? So if your perception is like high and you're getting it for a lower price, that means that's a deal. That's value. If your prices are higher than the perceived value, that means it's overpriced and people aren't going to pay. Okay, so are your prices in line with the customer's perception? If not, why? And what type of pricing adjustments can you make to align them? Why are your prices out of whack? And what type of adjustments can you make to align them? All right. Also, one of the things, guys, that you have to really think about is doing split testing. Have you tested different price points? See, many times I think we underprice what we do or what we sell. And what happens is most times people equate price with quality. So I'll give you a real life example. Another one of our BEB family members, we were on a group coaching call the other night. She actually sews or used to sew for Williams-Sonoma. And we were just talking about the pillows that go on your couches. And she was explaining, the fabric that they use and all types of stuff. And she said those pillows can go from anywhere, I believe, to $400 or $500 a pillow. And these are, the couch pillows. And so then she started working for another company, another sewing company that actually produces for Crate and Barrel and a couple of other stores. And what she said was that company's quality is much higher than Williams-Sonoma. And the same type of pillow that Williams-Sonoma sells for $400 or $500, they may sell for $80 or $90 or $100. Because it's all based on the pricing. The higher price makes you think that it's better quality. But in that case, it's not. Okay, that's once again goes back to perception. It's the product and it's the perception and obviously the pricing. So pricing basically makes a big difference. All right. So if you need to adjust your prices, make sure you do that. All right. Are you charging too much or too little for your product or service? It's kind of the same thing. And what are your competitors charging for similar products or services? And how do you separate yourself from them? So we're talking about pricing right now. And we're talking about how to make more money in your business when you focus on the 4 P's: product, perception, pricing, and profit. So the question is, what are your competitors charging for a similar product or service? And how do you separate yourself from them? So many times it's just having the guts really to charge higher prices. That's what it is a lot of times. Once again, that higher price, gives a perceived value that it's a better quality. So here's something one of my mentors told me about my online courses, and I mentioned this on the show before. He was saying, man, you underpricing these courses. He said, especially Brand Builder Academy Elite. He said, you got a promo, people can jump in there for $97. He said that flagship program should be $997. Easy. And I said, yeah, you're right. I said, the thing is with the COVID coming out, I said, I'm trying to get people in there so they can level up and start their business and be successful. And he was like, yeah, he said, but what you're doing is you're actually hurting people. He said, because the people that spend $997, they're going to go through the course and they're going to finish the course because they invested that heavily in the course. He said, the people that spent $97, you may have a few that go through and benefit from the course, but because you didn't price it the way you should have priced it, then they're not going to benefit the way they should have benefited. And I was like, damn, you're right. I haven't increased the price, but I definitely will do that, because when you do invest in something heavily, that means that you're serious about it and that you're going to go through it because you want to get your money's worth. Okay. So what are your competitors charging for similar products or services, and how do you separate yourself from them? And like I said, many times it's just charging a higher price. Another thing that you want to do is you want to create an apples to oranges versus an apples to apples comparison. So many times when you're selling a product or service, you're looking at somebody else, they're selling something very similar, right? So I'll use a flat iron, for example, right? So my flat iron landed from China, and one of my brands, I have several flat iron brands. My professional, quote unquote, higher end brand, the cost landed from China with the deluxe packaging, $10.78, right? Now, I sell it for $129. So that gives me a lot of profit in between. That same manufacturer manufactures flat irons, for other brands, and I see literally almost the same identical flat iron selling for $30. Okay? So how can I sell that same flat iron for $129 when somebody else is selling it for $30? And a lot has to do with the pricing and the perception. What I do is I don't want to compare apples to apples. I want to compare my apples to somebody else's oranges. So you just can't base it on price. So here's some of the things that I do. So some of the things that I do is I add a lifetime warranty. Okay? So that's a perceived value. So most times, I'll be honest, people don't even use it if something happens to the flat iron. I give them a lifetime warranty. I give them tutorial videos. The other people are just selling the flat iron. I'm selling beauty. I'm selling going to the salon in your own house, saving money instead of going to the salon every week or every 2 weeks. So while they're selling a flat iron, I'm selling beauty. I'm selling transformation. I'm selling a lifetime warranty. So that's the difference, how you create an apples to oranges concept versus an apples to apples concept. And the faster you guys can grab onto that concept, the better off you're going to be. Because if you go and you look for, say you're shoe shopping, right? And you're looking for a pair of work boots. And if you're not particular on any name brand, because you're going to be scuffing these things up anyway, I want a size 11.5 work boot. All right, let me go look at the prices. They're all leather. They all pretty much have the same components, Then guess what? I'm probably going to go on price unless there's a particular brand that I like. And that's apples to apples. Okay. So you got to create an apples to oranges scenario. Okay. Understand though that you need to understand who your customer is and what they expect. And here's something with your pricing guides. You actually teach people what to expect from your customer experience. You teach people what to expect from their customer experience. So if you've ever gone into a high-end steakhouse, all right, you got the concierge, they come out, they got the wine, they have the tuxedos on when they serve you. They're well dressed. The meat, so the steak is aged. It's a whole different experience, and that's really what you're paying for. You're paying for that customer experience. So what customer experience do you have or do you provide for your customers? And based on your experience, that's going to allow you to adjust your pricing. So remember, we're talking about product perception, pricing, and profit. And the product, the perception, and the pricing are going to directly affect your profitability. And we'll get into that next. So once again, guys, product perception and pricing is going to affect your profitability. And the total or whole objective of being in business is to make money. And the more profitable you are, the better off you are. Okay. So let's talk about profit real quick. And I mentioned what the definition at the top of the show. It's a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating, or producing something. So that's the profit. Now, before we get to this section, guys, just let me share a few words with the BEB family. Just want to give you all my contact information and resource links. Once again, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. So if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. Now, if you need additional assistance building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, my flagship course is out, Brand Builder Academy Elite, BBA Elite, pound for pound, probably my best course out there. It's a 14-week transformation program that takes you from point A to point B to help you build a physical products brand or a digital products brand. So you can go to bbaelite.com, use the coupon code BBAElite100, save $100 off the fee, and it's only $97. Do that now because, like my mentor said, trust me, I'm about to up that. All right, bbaelite.com. All right, next, I mentioned at the top of the show the two platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black economy. The first one is BeSmartByBlack.com. If you are a black product producer and you're looking to sell your products to black consumers, upload your product information on the platform. It is free. Once again, BeSmartByBlack.com. Now, if you are a freelancer, you do anything on Fiverr.com, Freelancer.com, we created a platform for you. It's titled HireBlackFreelancers.com, HIRE, BlackFreelancers.com. So once again, it is free. Upload your contact information and you can connect with any black-owned businesses or individuals that are looking to hire black freelancers, okay? Also, I mentioned at the top of the show, the new rebooted, rebranded Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy. You can go to bebacademy.com. You can enroll. It's 5 days free and you have access to everything in the academy. All of my online courses and training programs are in the academy, bebacademy.com. 5 days free access to anything that is in the academy. Now, also, if you need to connect with me, everything that I'm actually telling you now, getting ready to tell you, you can go to bebconnect.com, bebconnect.com. That's a page on my website that has all the links to everything I just said about my resources and also my social media contacts, which I'm going to give you right now. So anything long you want to connect with me, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES @blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Twitter, jjones001, JAYJONES001, Instagram, jjones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Also, I do have a Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Instagram account, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Just put it in there and you'll find that too. Also, YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, family. I have additional content on YouTube that is not out on the podcast. Yes, the podcast does come out on YouTube on a weekly basis, but go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint and hit that subscribe button. LinkedIn, you can connect with me. Look for J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Clubhouse, if you're on the new Clubhouse app, I'm at I am J Jones, at I am J Jones. Check me out and link up with me on Clubhouse. Also, if you want to be included in the BEB text line for special notifications and reminders, text BEB to 555-888. That's BEB to 555-888. Once again, everything that I just said, family, is on bebconnect.com. bebconnect.com. That's bebconnect.com. Now let's get ready to handle the last quarter of the show. All right, guys. So we talked about product perception and pricing. And right now we are on profit, which is the fourth P. Once again, profit is a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent on buying, operating, and producing something. So number one, what are your gross profit margins? What are your gross profit margins? Do you really know what your gross margins are? So if you have a physical product, right? A lot of time, well, I'll give you a real life example with this too. So I created a new hot sauce brand, right? And so now I know the price of the product from my co-packer, the labeling and everything, but you got to factor in the shipping costs. So when the co-packer ships my product to my location, I have to factor that in. So if I'm just using this as an example, 100 bottles and the actual shipping cost is $100, that means I got to tack on another $1 per bottle. So what are your gross profit margins? So you need to make sure that you understand everything it costs to make your product or your service, okay? Next question you want to ask yourself, what amount of money do you have per unit to advertise and market your product or service? What amount of money do you have per unit to advertise and market your product or service? So for example, if your product costs $10 and you retail it for $40, that's a $30 gross profit, meaning that you have up to $29.99 to spend in advertising to turn a profit. Okay. The question is, how much is it going to cost to market or sell one unit? And let me break this down for y'all. Okay. So the example I gave you with my flat iron, it costs landed, shipping, product, packaging, everything, $10.78. Just say $11. I sell it for $129, right? So what's that? $118 gross profit. Now, remember, when I sell on Amazon, Amazon takes, by the time you figure it up, about 30%, right? If I sell it on my own site, it's totally different, but I have to drive traffic there. So out of that 118, right? Excuse me. If I spend $100 to get one customer, I've made $18. Now, obviously, that's not the objective. If I spent $18 to get one customer, that means I made $100. So if I can create an income stream and generate sales at the lowest cost possible, that's going to increase my profitability. Now, the question is, how do I do that? All right, y'all hear me talk all the time about building your database, right? And I got something for y'all too about one of the BEB family members that just went through something major. I'm not going to call any names, but I'm going to tell you the story. But the way you increase your profitability, family, is by having a database. Okay. So when you want to turn that fountain on or that faucet on and let the money shoot out, you connect to your database. So when you already spend money to advertise and somebody is looking or potentially looking to buy your product, make sure you include them in your database. You already spent money to get their eyes on your product or service. So why not capture that data so you can continue to market to them? So instead of having to find new buyers every day, you're going to have people that have experience with your product or service and are going to buy it as current customers. They've already bought your stuff. So what you want to focus on, guys, is making sure you have money or margins in your product or service that allow you to market to gain customers. One of the biggest issues or concerns I see when I talk to some of my coaching students is they got a product that they're selling, a physical product that costs $10. That's their cost. And they're trying to sell it for $20. Now that leaves $10 gross profit. Out of that $10 gross profit, guess what? They need to drive traffic to their site. Now, if it costs $7.50 to drive traffic to their site, when it's all said and done, that means they're only going to make $2.50. So you have to look at your gross profit margin and what dollar amount is there for you to be able to market. So in my case, when I'm looking at $118 I can play with, all right, now obviously the objective is I need to get a new customer the cheapest way I can. The actual cheapest way to do that is continue to market to people that have already come into my ecosystem, that have already looked at my website. So if I can bring somebody in and get a customer and it costs me $10, $20, I'm still making $80, $90 because I have that big margin. So one of the keys, guys, to finding a profitable product or service is, what are your profit margins? I just wanted to share that with you. Now, the next question is there a way you can adjust your product's perception and pricing to increase your profitability? So if you have a product or service, is there a way that you can adjust it to increase its value? So for example, if you're selling a house, right? People say putting a swimming pool on doesn't really increase your value. The two biggest places to increase your value in your house is a kitchen and bathrooms. Okay, so you spend $5,000 to put in a new kitchen, it may equal out to $10,000 extra in sales at a higher price. So the question is, can you adjust your product or service perception and pricing to increase your profitability? So for example, with my flat iron, I've included a lifetime warranty. Is that valuable? Yeah. What does that mean to the customer? It means that if this flat iron breaks for any reason, you don't have to pay for another one in life. Just send it back and we'll send you a new one. We also created video tutorials to show people how to style their hair and use the machine. Also, we have a live chat line for questions. So a lot of times, this is something too, guys, if you're selling online, make sure you check out or get some chat bots, because a lot of times people have questions and they feel more comfortable if they go to a chat bot and somebody responds versus going to a website where they can't connect. There's no 800 number, no customer service number, no chat bot. Okay. So is there a way you can adjust your product or tweak your product or service or perception or pricing to increase your profitability? Let me just give you an example on my flat irons. So my box, and I have a designer magnetic closure box, very nice graphics on it. That box cost me, instead of the regular packaging, I think was like 50 cents or something like that, which was a little cardboard box. This packaging cost me almost, I think it was close to $2.50 per unit. Now that box is worth way more to me because now I'm selling this product. It looks like a professional product. It feels like a professional product, and it works like a professional product. So that allows me to sell that product for $129 when it only cost me $10.78. So those added things that I put into the product increased its value. I increased its perception. Okay. I gave them extra things that other flat irons don't have. I don't know any flat iron out there that's got a lifetime warranty beside mine. All right. Plus I give video tutorials, customer service, and the whole nine. So that's the profit portion. So what you want to do is you want to analyze your profit margins. And so today, guys, we're talking about product perception, pricing, and profit, how to make more money in your business using 4 simple steps or 4 key components. So you want to analyze everything about that. Analyze your product. Okay. Is this a good product? Do people really want this product? Am I getting the product or manufacturing the product or service at a reasonable price? Now, when you're selling services, depending upon the type of service you're selling, if it's accounting or things like that, financial planning, you're trading dollars for hours or hours for dollars. Okay. So that's why digital products are so profitable, guys. You create it one time and you continue to sell it, and you don't have to, take your time to do the same presentation or training or whatever over and over again. So number 1, look at your product. Number 2, you need to analyze the perception of your product, your service, or your brand. What do people think of it? If I go to this CPA's office and every time I walk in, there's a hoagie on the desk, his shirt is hanging out his pants, he got mustard on his tie, and he's looking disheveled, my perception is that, this dude may know his stuff, but I'm probably not going to deal with it, right? So what's the perception? Analyze the way people perceive your product, service, or your brand. Now, let's move on to number 3. The third P is pricing. How is your product priced? Is it aligned with your product and the perception? What's your pricing? Are you, a discount price? Are you a mid-level price, or you a high-end price? So your pricing has to align. Remember also, guys, don't be scared to charge money. And it's always easier to bring your price down than to bring your price up. Always start high. I'm not saying being a used car salesman, but if you're testing, you want to test higher and then bring it down lower. Because if you test low and start out low and take it higher, you're going to get a whole lot of pushback from that. So value what you do, be it your product, be it your service or your brand or whatever, value that. Okay. So make sure your pricing is aligned. And last, but definitely not least is your profit. That's P number 4. How profitable are you? What are your gross profit margins? Can you tweak your products or services or brand to increase your profit margin? Is there a way you can adjust the perception? So there's so many different things that you can do, guys, at what you're currently doing. If you just tweak a few things, like right now, I'm in a rebranding of the whole Black Entrepreneur Blueprint ecosystem. So I'm getting a new website up because that thing, is old. I'm getting new graphics for stuff. And so I'm rebranding everything for 2021. And once again, that's part of the perception. So I got to make sure that matches what the content is. All right. Now, let me tell you guys a quick story. And this is exactly why I tell you guys you got to build your database with email. All right. So we have a BEB family member that was in a bad situation last week. She reached out to me and we're doing some mentorship. And she's in a space where she's doing real good business, and she has an Instagram account where it just blew up from a couple hundred followers to about 8,000-9,000 followers. What happened was she was doing these IG lives and promoting and making money, and guess what Instagram did? They shut it down. And she has no idea why they shut her Instagram account down. She thinks some people might have been sabotaged from competitors or something like that. And she's trying to get it back now. But just like with Amazon, you're not talking to a real person. It's a computer that basically shuts you down. So now, instead of having all of those 9,000 people on that database, as opposed to social media, she's going to kind of have to start over again. But I mean, she's doing a great job. But you don't want to waste that work. So what I always say, guys, is use your social media to build your database. So it's great. If you got 100,000 IG followers, drive them to get their email address. Give them some type of lead magnet, free product or resource, some type of content that's going to interest them so they'll give you their email address. And so you don't want to be caught out there where, you're doing stuff and all of a sudden you wake up in the morning, man, my IG account is gone. What's going on? I can't connect with my people. So make sure, family, that you build that database. And I just did a training last week or the week before last when this comes out. $1 million newsletter, right? $1milliondollarnewsletter.com. That's a way that you can build your database. And it's not a salesy type of way. It's if you have a newsletter that people are interested in, then if it's just say it's a newsletter on Porsches, you like Porsches, free newsletter, great content. Hey, why wouldn't I sign up for it? I'm not going to open it every day, probably. But once again, it's a function of the numbers. You got 100,000 subscribers and, 27% of them open the email. That's 27,000 people that open the email and have a chance to buy something from you, right? You got 10 subscribers, 27% of the people open the email. That's 2.7 people. I even rounded up for you. That's 3 people. You got a chance of 3 people buying something from you. Excuse me. So once again, family, build your foundation on email. That's your database. Everything else, social media is great, but use the social media to capture email addresses. So if it's a newsletter, right, it's very simple. So if you're on social media and you're in the wine space and you create a wine newsletter, why wouldn't somebody sign up for it? Go ahead, you can put that link out in a Facebook group. You can put it out, wherever. You can promote it or whatever. and people will sign up for it. So now if I'm selling, wine products or, stuff like that, and I've got my email list, man, it's cool. Think about products that you can't advertise on social media, like cannabis and also cigars, cigarettes, smoking stuff. So how do you think these cigar companies still make money online? A lot of them have newsletters. And so if you're one of the magazines is Cigar Aficionado, right? And they have a hell of a newsletter. So guess how they sell? Okay, I can't advertise on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or Google, or whatever. I can't advertise my cigars. But guess what? If I got you on my newsletter list and I'm sending out my newsletter every week, guess what? I can sell those cigars. And oh, by the way, I can sell a whole lot of other stuff, be it affiliate products or services. So for example, if you have a cigar newsletter, what other type of stuff can you sell? You can sell humidors, you can sell cigar cutters, you can sell all types of different things. And so that's the beauty of having control of your own database. That's the beauty, guys. So today's show is how to make more money in your business with 4 simple components: product perception, pricing, and profit. So if if you can master and control those 4 P's, product perception, pricing, and profit, you're going to be in a much better shape. So once again, it's all about profitability. So the product perception and pricing affect your profitability. So you need to look at your product. Can you make it better? Can you get it cheaper? Can you produce it for a lower cost? The perception that people have of your product, service, or brand, and the pricing. Is your pricing aligned with everything else? And once you tweak these things, and I'm going to give you one more example, right? And it's only a couple of cents, but it makes a whole lot of difference. So you guys know I got a new hot sauce line out. So right now I'm negotiating with a couple of small convenience stores to have mini bottles go into their countertops, right? So some of these convenience stores I'm negotiating with, they sell obviously, chicken and all types of food. So a nice little mini bottle, which is the size of the little mini bottles that you see in the in hotels, the little liquor bottles, So my co-packer, when they do everything for me, my cost is about $1.25. So I said, okay, let me see how I can reduce this cost without having to buy 2,000 mini bottles, right? Because I got to make sure I can sell them first. So I said, all right, look, man, I said, put my sauce in here, but don't put the label on. And I'm going, actually, I did that too. And I'll tell you about that on another show. But what I told them was, I said, look, all right, produce my sauce for me, give it to me in bulk. Okay. And I'll fill them, label them, and do all of that, right? So I went out and I bought a labeler. Now, obviously, you can't do this for large volumes. But what I'm trying to do is get my costs down. And if it makes sense and this thing kicks off, then I'll create my own production facility. So I'm like, look, produce the hot sauce in large vats. Send that to me. I got a filling machine. I got bottles I bought. So that same bottle that I'm getting from my co-packer for $1.25, I can actually produce myself, put my own. I got my own label machine. I got my own bottles, everything. I can produce that for like 83 to 85 cents. And so you're saying, oh, what's $1.25 versus 85 cents? That's 40-cent difference. That's a big difference. All right. So that's saving me basically 33% off the price, the price of the product, my cost. And once again, even though it's a small bottle or small unit, if I'm saving 33%, what does that do to my profitability if I'm able to sell that small bottle at the same price? That increases my profitability. So that's why when I talk about your product, your perception, and your pricing, that all affects your profitability. It is all intertwined. So if there's a way that you can reduce your product or service costs, increase your perception, and increase your pricing, your profitability has no choice but to go up. Now, before we close on out, family, I say this each and every week, but we get more and more downloads, and that's attributed to you guys, the BEB family. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, and all the BEB ecosystem. Once again, family, I always say it's about building an economic power base in the Black community. It's not a podcast. It's not a blog. It's an economic power base. That's what we're trying to build in the Black community. And the best way we can do that, family, is to build and support Black-owned businesses, create access to capital for our business owners and prospective business owners. And like Killer Mike said on the show the other day, be black, buy black, just be black and be cognizant of where you spend your money. You know, it's a conscious decision. It's a conscious effort. And I know I say this a lot, but I gotta say it. You know, we use our phones for all type of stuff, having fun and all that good stuff. Go jump on your phone, find a Black-owned business. All right, you out, you riding around and you want to buy something to eat, go find a soul food restaurant. Go find a Black-owned restaurant. Just the little things, guys. Like I said, the study was done and it says only 2 cents out of every dollar is spent on Black-owned businesses by Black folk, by us. That means the other 98 cents of that dollar that we spend is with some other community. And trust me, that those other communities aren't going to take care of us like we're going to take care of ourselves. So make sure, be intentional with your funds. Make sure you support Black businesses, you build Black businesses. And I'm telling you, use social media for that benefit. Oh man, I went to this restaurant, Black-owned restaurant the other day. Man, this was great. Blah, 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 blah. Put that thing out on social media. Guess what? You may not get a lot of likes or whatever, but what it's going to do for that business is going to give them notoriety. And once again, ain't nobody going to take care of us but us. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.